right, everyone. So it is May 6th. This is the New World News Network. You have Jamie Starr and Paul, as usual, giving you things we find interesting this week. And to start it off, let's go with what everyone is finding really interesting, Kanye West. First off, let me just say, Candace Owens, you know, something magical when she was getting all that heat, and like I really like saying, because, you know, me and her had been talking on Twitter and everything like that, not conversations that were too deep, just sort of, oh, I got your back, thank you for looking out, much appreciated, and, you know, small talk, and how people were coming at her for crazy angles. But I love watching someone that I consider, I don't know if I would say friend, but an acquaintance, really shake shit up. And I mean, she's really shaking shit up, and Kanye is a part of that. And the greatest thing I saw, like, when I was hanging out with friends last night, I went on this rant that I wish I had recorded. But let me tell you, if anyone watching this is a Democrat, I legitimately feel sad for you, because you might not see Democrats in power for the rest of your lifetime. It is looking real bleak.
They don't have a plan at the moment. What's the plan?
And here's the other thing, though. They need victims to get into power, because they have nothing to offer anyone who can take care of themselves. Their entire platform. Well,
that's been the campaign so far. It's been why Hillary lost and boohoo Russians. That has been their campaign.
But even if
okay, this is who we're. When's the next election? 2020, whether it's not like, okay, let's put this guy forward. Fuck Hillary.
Put that aside, though.
Throwing her under a bus.
Their whole MO is this socialist Robin Hood campaign of, they have more than you, elect us, we'll take from them and give to you. So if you have someone who will stand up and say, I don't need you to take from anyone and give to me, I can get it on my own, then what?
Man, I think you're giving them too much credit. I don't think they've even got a campaign. I think you're talking Bernie Sanders days. It's gone. Hillary's gone. It's just, I've not seen anything out of them other than, oh, we shouldn't have lost Trump.
Well, you know,
that's not a campaign.
You know, it's really funny too. I was watching Andrew Klavan's podcast right before.
The nearest thing you had was Oprah.
Yeah, Andrew Klavan, right before he went on break, he was doing this thing where he was like translating Democrat messages, where he's like, you know, when they say Russian collusion, it really means there is no collusion. When they say Stormy Daniels, it means no Russian collusion. He was like, and whenever they tell you a news story about what's going to happen, you need to realize it's not what's going to happen, it's what they're hoping will happen. I mean, they're saying we're going to have this blue wave in the 2018 elections where Democrats are just going to clean house. And my whole question is, who? Which Democrats?
Yeah,
who?
Wait, I know who. I have things we know who. I know what's coming, mate. You know what's coming.
I mean,
there's only one lady for the. It's going to be fucking Michelle Obama or Oprah, I reckon. I actually think that.
I mean, I'll tell you.
It's got to be, because you've had a TV. You've got to keep the thing going, TV reality.
Well, I mean, they might pull out Michelle Obama for the election against Trump next time around. But I'm talking these midterm elections. These are all Senate and, you know, everything like that. There's no one that's a household name that isn't tarnished. I mean, what?
Maybe they're building like a robot, like they did with Obama, like a new robot. Or like a new Hillary, like they're going to build a new model and just stick the head on top.
Yeah.
And that's why it's spazzing out all the time.
And here's the other thing.
Just wait till
like,
you get those wires reconnected.
Like, I'll tell you, you know, but the one friend I was talking about when we were just talking prior, he was a Bernie supporter, and even in just him spending time around me the past year, he's even realized that the Democrat Party is just lost the plot. Like, they are not based in reality even at this point. And, like, people are waking up. And it's really, you know, with Kanye coming out, Black Trump support has doubled in the past week. Like...
Yeah, but maybe, like, the evilness in me would just say, well, fuck it. Because you've got the caravan situation going on in Mexico. Like, we don't fucking need a candidate. We'll just flood it.
You know,
with people that are fighting for big government, we'll just flood you. Because immigrants are just going to vote for that straight off the bat, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's like the whole point of them Oh shit.
Well, and
Man.
that's the whole reason why Democrats act like they need them. Like they need broken people in order to get in
Be a one
power.
party. That's what they're doing in England now because we've got Conservative and Labour. So that's like our version of Democrat and Republic. It's Labour would be like the Democrat, Conservative would be like well, it's pretty much the same thing, but it's the nearest Trump you're gonna get. So if that's what they're doing here, they're flooding us, and then all these people are going to vote Labour for Corbyn, for the Socialist Party. There isn't like any platform, there isn't any person that's a leader. Like Corbyn, no one's going to vote for that.
Well, even the other thing...
No, they don't need you. You don't need a leader. Maybe the Democrats just know what the future is. It's like, well, why would we put anyone up? Because they don't need to.
But the other thing that people are starting to realize is even all of these groups that the Democrats claim to represent don't get along. Like in California, when they were trying to pass gay marriage, it was blacks and Mexicans that prevented gay marriage from passing. Now
they need a woman, dude.
It's illegal immigration from Mexico that hurts the black working class the most. And then
maybe that's what they'll do. They'll get an illegal Mexican.
Maybe it has to be a trans. Yeah, a trans one.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I'll tell you.
That self-identifies.
I hope this is probably, I'm not going to...
Where's cowboy boots?
I can't get into details, but in my one job dealing with people with mental health and everything like that, I've encountered a handful of people who identify as the opposite genders and everything. And even with them, there will be little things they will say that will blow this gender ideology stuff just straight out the water. And I don't even think they realize they're saying these things. Like there's this one girl, she's so sweet, she thinks she's a guy, but she likes to date men, so she identifies as a gay man. Now she gets mad at her boyfriend for not saying he's gay because he's sticking his dick in something with tits and a vagina every night. And the thing is gay men like dick. They don't like tits and vagina, so this isn't making any sense in the first place. But this person says when they're at our resident place, I feel safer with the male staff members. And all I can think is, well, of course you do, because you're a woman.
Why aren't you recording this stuff?
I am. No.
Record this? You are.
What, at the house or right now?
When you talk to these mental cases, yeah.
Oh no, HIPAA privacy laws. It's under medical law. I can't. Right. Yeah.
You could be like Stefan Molyneux.
I know. It would have been great, but yeah, one of the things is they're saying I'm more comfortable around the male staff members, and all I can think is, well, that's a natural female inclination. Now, if I were to go with this gender ideology stuff, my response would be, why do you need to be around dudes to feel safe? You're as much of a dude as I am, aren't you? You identify as a man, so why do you need a man to feel protected? But it's because you're a woman. And it's like I said, some of the things these people say will just blow their whole standpoint out of the water, and they aren't even realizing they're saying it. Where it's just like, yeah, obviously you'd feel safe with men around. That's how women are. But you identify as a man because, I don't know, you like metal music and don't like having long hair and wearing dresses. Like here, Paul, here's one of the ideas I was thinking. Because more and more I see these videos. Like there's a clip of Jesse Lee Peterson talking to this transgender person. And they have now said...
I love that guy.
They have now said...
What's his...
There's thousands of genders. So we went from 2 to 3 to 32 to thousands. And now, I think one of the things I'm going to do for new videos is I'm going to just take videos of people talking about this, and every time they say gender, I'm just going to overdub in me saying stereotypes. And because that really shows that that's all this is there's thousands of stereotypes. There's different stereotypes. People choose to live their lives as different male and female stereotypes. And that's all it's based in, is stereotypes. And then the same people will say you shouldn't stereotype people. But that's, if you look at it, like Caitlyn Jenner, I was watching a bunch of doctors and everything talk about the problems with transgender stuff, and this one woman said, Caitlyn Jenner was asked, what's the hardest thing about being a woman? And the response was, the hardest thing about being a woman is deciding what to wear. Isn't that the most sexist female stereotype you've been taught? That all women care about is how they look and what to wear and everything like that? But that's the thing. Tell
me if this bores you or I come across patronizing, but I did this in my hypnosis course. So let me get this right. But do you know what stereotyping really is? Because it's a very specific term, and I think people are not understanding what it means. So I'll give you an example. When you sit down on your chair, do you treat that chair like every other chair, or do you like put your hands on it and make sure it's going to take your weight? Do you check all the legs are stable? Do you check that the rest is stable, or do you just sit on it pretty relaxed?
I think most of the time I just sit on it pretty relaxed.
Okay, well then you stereotype that chair
Yeah.
to other chairs. When you walk on the pavement, do you gently like just tap the pavement to make sure it's not going to sink? Or do you treat it like the next pavement and just think, oh, it's going to take my weight?
Yeah.
You're not checking. So the reason you stereotype is because your brain, you'd need an alien-sized brain to not make quick judgments. Your brain there's so much going on when you're walking down the road that can attract your attention. What your brain does is it kind of like compresses stuff to stuff you need to know. So the reason you stereotype is a protection mechanism and just to speed stuff up. So when you touch fire, you know it's hot. It's the same kind of principle. So I never get this thing that stereotyping's bad. The reason you stereotype is because it's actually quite accurate. That's why stereotypes exist, because it saves you time. That's do you know what I mean? I never this thing that stereotyping's bad. You're meant to, and it's like, don't judge people. It's like, no, you're meant to judge.
But it's again the same people that are saying stereotyping is wrong and this and that are the ones fighting for the stereotypes. Like I made that point to a friend where I said, you can't have all of this. We need to end gender roles. We need to deconstruct male and female gender and this and that. But if it's okay if we're deconstructing gender roles, what's the point of being transgender? It's like,
I don't get this thing where people probably go, I don't stereotype. It's like, well, you're a fucking idiot then.
And
Thanks
it's
for
like,
letting me know.
Like I really think I could.
So you treat every example like it's a brand new example. Like you must just get nothing done.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I really think like
you need a roadmap. Stereotype means roadmap.
Yeah. I think I could put together.
Is it 100% accurate? No. Do surprises pop up? Do you get a Scott? Yeah. Do you get a black guy that goes to Metallica concerts? You get one or two. Do you get a tall Chinese NBA player? Yeah. But as a whole.
And you know what?
You get antidotal.
And here's the other thing, and this is why I really love what Kanye West is doing right now, because if you listen to what he's saying, and even Chance the Rapper, who came out and said, not all black people have to be Democrats. Now, he didn't say black people are Republicans too, or libertarians. He just said they don't have to be Democrats, like they could be apolitical and not care either way. But the same people that are fighting against stereotypes are the same people that will call you an Uncle Tom, a self-hating homosexual. I mean, even Michelle Wolf at that White House Correspondents' Dinner made the joke about Sarah Huckabee and said, what's the female equivalent of a Uncle Tom white woman who disappoints other white women? They are basically bullying everyone into being a stereotype, and while saying stereotypes are bad. Like it's the trying to.
It's like it's an alien's taking over, and they know how to reprogram your mind,
or they just know how to break you. That's all. That's what I think it really is, though. Because, like I said, if they don't have victims,
I've given up recently. Yeah.
If they don't have victims, they can't get in power. So everything they do, it's about the logical inconsistencies. It's about the cognitive dissonance. Like, listen to this, for example. So I'm talking to a friend of mine about the whole trans thing. Now he's very much more sympathetic than I am, and I'm telling him, it's fucked up. We shouldn't be doing this, and that. And then I'm like, they have this book that they read to kids about it's either a blue crayon that says that it's actually red or a red crayon that says it's actually blue. And this is a book that they give to kids to teach them about transgender. Now, he's appalled at this. He thinks it's appalling for them to give kids a book where a blue crayon is saying, I'm not blue, I'm actually red. Because it fucks...
Yeah, they should be reading the Quran, like they're doing in the UK.
It fucks with your fundamental idea of reality. It's the basic 2 + 2 = 5 thing from 1984. And I told him, though, I said, it's fucked up, though, that you think it's wrong to teach kids that the color red is actually blue if it feels like it's blue, but you think a guy that feels like he's a woman is actually a woman somehow. Like, how is it in a crayon in a color sense? That's one thing, but when it comes to men and women, you think it's all right because you're buying into this nonsense that all gender is social construction, which social construction is just stereotypes. Like,
I've never heard so much hate speech come out of your mouth. I'm in shock.
I'm intolerant bigot.
Deeply offended.
Yeah.
I think so. I just think you just need to be more tolerant. Just stop stereotyping. Stop judging people. I mean, that's what it is.
Maybe I should put on a dress. Maybe I'll feel more tolerant if I was wearing a dress.
I hate to say this, I'm going to sound like so cold-hearted, but that's why you're seeing a rise in mass shootings in America. Because it's always just, well, just accept it. Just accept it. And when you get these mental cases, that's why the community aren't dealing with it. It's just like, so what if it's a bit weird? So what if he does this? So what if it's got this problem?
And
just accept it.
I forget who made the point.
When monitors him, that's when they go crazy.
I forget who...
Everyone knew it was crazy. Everyone fucking knew.
But it's also... I forget who made this point, but I thought it was so valid, where they said is what you have is you have a society that is so turned against masculinity that it just ends up repressed and bottled and repressed and bottled and repressed and bottled, and then it explodes in a mass shooting, and you're like, how the fuck did this happen? And it's like, oh, well, because you tried to...
Well, that's me. That's how I feel at the moment. I mean, I nearly threw the cat out the window this morning. I have brain resets all the time. So I can understand all these men going crazy. There is an epidemic.
I mean, what we really need is
But it's the acceptance of it.
We need a...
Not helping. Not just, it's...
born this way movement for cisgender, heterosexual, straight men. Like, it's for them to just be told, you're born a man. Nothing wrong with being born a man. Masculinity is not toxic. Like, it's really ridiculous. I mean, did you see in the headlines they're now removing boy from Boy Scouts? I should think so. That's the new big thing over here, where now the Boy Scouts, and Steven Crowder made the point where he said, those were the original safe spaces. Boy Scouts were for boys, Girl Scouts were for girls. It was a boys-only club where boys could come together and bond without having to worry about little girls being around and everything like that. And that was their safe space, and now it's been destroyed. Now the only safe spaces you're allowed to have are progressive liberal safe spaces.
Go back to Kanye Past, because I'm going to rant. I'm going to rant at the end. I'm going to save it.
What?
Kanye Past. Well, yeah, I mean, you was talking about Kanye Past. I was trying to get it back up before I ran. I was just about to go on a mega rant, but I'm going to save it later.
Well,
the only thing I want to say before I forget, if you do speak to Candace, this is going to sound like really rude, but one thing she should definitely do, I think what lets her down a little bit, she's nearly at perfection. But to get to perfection, I think she should just go on YouTube and watch speech therapy. I know this is rich coming from me because I've got the worst speech. But because she's publicly speaking, she's speaking too quick. I think that pisses people off. I think just that can really turn off. A lot of people, if you talk quick at them, no matter what you say, they're not going to like it.
You know what it could be?
She needs to get a metronome and just like Obama.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? She's a New York black girl. I can tell you that right now because New Yorkers were known for that. Like I worked with this girl at an art store at one point, and she was telling me about how she went to college in Georgia. And Georgia, they would be out to dinner, and it would be an hour and a half, and they wouldn't even get their appetizers yet. And they would be like, "Is our food coming?" And the response in Georgia was, "What's wrong with you, girl? You on uppers? You on some amphetamine? Why are you in such a rush?" Like, everywhere else down south and everything, they're just slowed down. They're not in a rush to do anything. Like, that's why there's the phrase, in a New York minute. Like, because New York is just known for fast-paced, and, like, you're right, she speaks like that, and it probably would do her some help to just pace it out a little bit.
Tone it down, yeah. Don't get me wrong, I love that accent. If I was, I'd never get a date. If I was on a date, I'd love the voice. But for public speaking, I think Obama does probably really talk like she does, and I think Denzel Washington probably does. But I think they took lessons.
Yeah.
Obama
definitely did.
Slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okie dokie pokey, okay?
Oh man, you know,
Slow it down.
speaking of that, did you? All right, so the fun,
No, let's do it together. After every word, pretty much pause.
the funniest thing is,
Come on, that's fun. So I'll start, okay? Jamie, what were you saying?
what I was trying to say was that
That's too quick.
Kanye West, well, that's kind of how he would do it, where it'd be like, bup bup, bup 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 bup, bup bup,
Yeah.
bup bup.
Get a beat.
Like,
Yeah, try and get your own beat if you can.
but
Because I just want to say it again, like, some people, like, you do this in business studies as well, some people, if you irritate them just because you speak fast, and a lot of people get irritated by that, you kind of already lost.
yeah.
If she took that out, she'd be immaculate.
I was gonna say, because when you were saying the whatever you just said about
It makes it sound so much more important. And coming next. Or
what was it? Kanye West, right after all the Trump thing and everything like that, and you know him getting all the heat, he was like, "All right, I'm putting out a new song, and it's this song called Lift Yourself, and it's all like." It's got this soul Motown gospel sample singing about liberty and lifting yourself. And then at the end, he just goes, y'all ready for this? Bars. Here comes the verse. Scoopity-dooba-dop, scoop the poop, doopa-deepa-dop-dop. Like, and he just scats some bullshit. Like, it was like a trolling track. Like, he just trolled everyone real quick. Like, what he is doing right now is going so far over everyone's heads. And I'll tell you what was really interesting to watch? I watched one of the hip-hop New York morning shows had T.I. on, and it was just a circle jerk of these people being like, how could he do this? White supremacy, whatever. Circle jerk each other off. We know better than everyone else because we all think alike, and you know, it's like, if you want to see people trying to watch people dismiss Kanye West is just people advertising their ignorance on profound levels, where like being like, well, you know, Trump signed a travel ban, and it's like, yeah, Obama's travel ban, he just re-signed it. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And it's like,
before I forget, because you've put because I've got Candace Owens as like a screensaver for my mind at the moment. Now you've brought it up. I'm gonna say, like, the thing is, he's now saying do the slow talking. The reason that would be even better is to keep that attitude she's got as well, but use it for pinnacle moments. So go slow, and then hit them with the New York band.
yeah.
Because then that could become like the Thug Life meme. That's how they're created. You just want the little segment of that
Yeah.
New York attitude. You want to build it up, and then it'd be like hit them with the New York heart, and then listen to that raw.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened. Remember, Ben like it's always about the sound bite where, like, you know, like Trump did that whole you know, debate thing with Hillary Clinton, but what does everyone remember? Her being like, I'm glad we're not in a country where he's atop of the legal system, and he just goes, that's because you'd be in jail. Like, just...
I mean, she's, as a public speaker, she's 9 out of 10, and that doesn't include like the token points for just being black and from New York. So if you got she's still quite new at it, so I'm sure she'll give it a couple of weeks and she'll probably be like absolutely slamming it, like body slamming people verbally.
Yeah.
Just like mixed martial arts style, just choking out the presenter with...
Kanye West put it as she's decapitating people with her lightsaber of facts. Like,
that's why, I mean, I had to turn the interview off because he just came on and went, well, I've got some feelings about stuff, but Candice can explain it. I was like, oh, fuck this. I've listened to Candice like 100 times, like I want to listen to Kanye. So I was like, fucking turned it off at that point.
But
sorry.
I think what he's doing, though, is so important culturally, because like I was saying, now one of these radio hosts, for example, goes on and she says, like I said, the people trying to put him down are exposing themselves as being so profoundly ignorant. I listened to this woman on the radio say, well, you know, Kanye doesn't understand the real world because he lives in a bubble, and it's a Kardashian bubble, and it's a high fashion bubble, and it's a this, and that. So then I ask, how does Candace Owens and her ideas fit into the high fashion millionaire Kardashian bubble? It doesn't. He's showing that he is so far out of this bubble that everyone else thinks he's in, And they're all the ones that are actually in bubbles. They're the ones that are fighting desperately to hang on to their narrative that everything sucks for them. Like, right, Kanye is like a super hippie liberal right now. All he's saying is love. Free love. You guys want to talk about white supremacists and you say, fuck you, I hate you, fuck you, I hate you, fuck you, I hate you, but where has it gotten you? Maybe we need to sit down with these people and talk things out. Like, it's like you can't just say, they're the bad people, let's ignore them, and expect to get anywhere with them. All it's going to do is keep the beef going. I mean...
So tell you what's really going on?
Sure.
You and Candice are fucking miles off the mark. Both of you are fucking miles off. Right, I'm going to throw devil's advocate out there, right? The most obvious one. The question I would ask on TMC is, I'd go, Kanye, are you just attention seeking?
Because
you're a master at... No, you're a master... And don't tell me, Kanye, that you are not the master of attention seeking. I mean, after all, you're a god.
Hold on, though.
Said I'm a god.
But here...
You just don't... It's just a little bit of play.
Hold on, no. But here's the thing, though.
Kanye, come on.
You saw the TMZ interview, but did you see his interview with Charlemagne the God? Because in that interview, he's talking about, like, here's the thing.
Bring it up, though, man.
But there's attention seeking, and then there's putting a target on your head. There's attention seeking, and then there's putting your life in danger. And the things he's saying is putting his life in danger. Because he went through one by one, and he said, after the Taylor Swift thing, I was blackballed from radio. I showed up 45 minutes late to a fashion show, and now the fashion world has turned their backs to me. He said, and then I'm over in Paris, and there's a plot where people are plotting on my wife and robbed her, and he's like, it's almost like all these things, one by one, were set up to break me.
That robbery was complete and utter bullshit.
He said...
That robbery did not happen.
I don't know. But either way, he's giving this interview, and he's talking about the music industry and forced humiliation in the music industry and how he was surrounded by people where he's trying to build a company and he's asking them, I need an evaluation. I need to learn how to do this. I need to know how to run my business. And he said, and none of them are giving me the tools and the information. They want me working for them. He said, you could go on the stage at the Grammys and you could talk all day long about racism, white supremacy, and all this other stuff. He said, but if you go up there and talk about the powers that be, who's actually running things and investing in everything like that.
What about that?
He said,
ask him about that.
He said they're going to pull you off so quickly. I mean, he was basically talking like a whole Illuminati conspiracy for an hour and a half.
Talk to him about what the fuck was going on in that hospital, Kanye.
Oh well, he said that was the scariest moment in his life because he gets to the hospital and his friends are surrounding him, and he says, "Whatever you do, do not."
His friends, eh?
He said,
they're good friends.
He said, "Don't leave my side until my wife gets here." And then the hospital staff wheel him off to a locked corridor, and he said, next thing you know, he woke up drugged up and didn't know what was going on. The one part, I don't know if you saw in the TMZ interview, he said he was on drugs for liposuction. He was taking 3 pills a day, and when he got out of the hospital, they had him on 7. So he said the hospital just made things even worse. The hospital tried to get him addicted on drugs, even worse. I mean, it is like he was going by these things one by one, and I mean, whether he meant to or not, he laid out a conspiracy theory that it sounds like some Illuminati shit. Again, talking about the forced humiliation and everything like that. Now, the thing I thought was really telling about him...
No, but the creepy thing that I want to throw in there was when he left the mental home, he dyed his hair that blonde colour.
Yeah.
Which is like...
But, and it's blonde...
There's always something with the blonde hair.
It's blonde again now, too.
Blonde means you're back in the cult. That's why, like, Britney shaved it off, and yeah.
I don't know. It's weird,
it's
blonde now again too.
I'm just saying it's weird.
But one of the things I thought was really telling, and this is why I think it's genuine.
That's
and
cultural appreciation.
And I think it's not just attention seeking or him promoting albums and stuff like that. Is when he talked about George Bush, and he said, when I saw George Bush pushing his father in a wheelchair, I wanted to go up to him
Grab an ass.
and apologize to him. He said, because I said something at that telethon that George Bush doesn't care about black people. I was hurting. I hurt him. But now I see him as a father, as a husband, as another human. And I realize that that's wrong. And I should approach everyone with love and caring. I mean, he's, like I said, he's the super ultra liberal hippie right now. And everyone is like, I mean, all these people talk about tolerance, and that's all Kanye's preaching. Love and tolerance, and they are just...
Or it's just reading what's actually trending on... He just goes on algorithm trends. He's going, oh, well, this is the most popular shit to say.
But it's not. That's the thing. What he's saying is completely counterculture at this point. Where, like the guy from TMZ even said, he said, you know, Kanye, since talking to you about this, I've realized we are living in a culture of intolerance. These people will say, tolerate this, tolerate that, but they don't. They are the most intolerant people, where it's all sort of doublespeak. Where it's like the idea of repressive tolerance, the Saul Alinsky idea, where it's like, you say you have tolerance, but if someone isn't on the exact same level as you, you just fuck them. Like, you just ex-nay them completely. I mean, I think it's, the timing-wise is brilliant, and it is coinciding with his albums coming out and everything, but I think it's just him being him. This is the way, like, here's another thing to think about. Kanye put out that Yeezus album. Well, first he put out My Dark Twisted Fantasy, which had 1 million features, Elton John, everyone. He put out a movie with it and all this stuff. It was so over the top. Then the next album he did, there was no artwork. It looked like a burnt CD, and it was this weird thing that sounded like a hip-hop Kanye album mixed with a Nine Inch Nails album. It was very industrial sounding, but it had songs like Black Skinhead. Black Skinhead, what do you think that song's about? It's about people with the Black Lives Matter mentality. And no one showed that album any love, because the lyrical content on it was, he was basically saying to black people, you're acting like a bunch of fucking Nazis. What's wrong with you? Why are you being like this? So he's been pushing a lot of these messages for a while now. It's just the radio shut him out. Fashion industry's trying to shut him out. He's getting doors closed in his face. Like, none of this stuff is advantageous to him, but even T.I. realized, if you tell Kanye, you can't, don't do that, you can't, don't do that, you can't, don't do that, he's going to do it, and do it even harder than he was going to try before. Like, he is one of those people that thrives on people telling him no and don't. So,
I got a confession to make. I've never listened to a whole Kanye album. Maybe I should.
Check out the My Dark Twisted Fantasy album, because I'll tell you, it's amazing. It's like a Beatles album for hip hop. It's like Magical Mystery Tour from the hood of Chicago.
Yeah, I've only heard his hits and stuff.
Yeah, no, I'll send you that album. It's interesting. I mean, there's parts where it's like you may have a 9-minute song, and 3 of the songs sound like he's doing a guitar solo, just singing with a ton of effects on his voice and stuff like that. Like, really pushing the boundaries, especially when it came out. Here's a funny story. There's a hip-hop mixtape site, That Piff. My That Piff account is deleted because of Kanye West. Because...
That's kind of like why you've got to take him seriously. I know I'm saying it's not listening to him, but I really don't like that genre of music. But what I hear is he is actually a genius at music. So
oh, yeah.
Really,
one of the things I thought was so amazing is with that album, like I said, he had so many people working on it, and there's a lot of high-end hotels that have recording studios built into them because it's just easy. You can fly in your collaborations, have them get a room in the hotel, and then just go down to whatever floor the studio's on and work right there. It might be on a beach or something like that. So Kanye rented out not just the one studio, he rented out the entire studio. So he had 3 rooms with different groups of people in each room, and he would just go in and out of the rooms working on different songs simultaneously. So it's like almost like you can have ADD but be focused on your project as a whole.
I'm still in that 13-year-old mentality when I listen to albums, which I've got to get out of, where I listen to a great song and I go, well, Didn't have a guitar solo in it, so it's like -3 points straight away. So maybe, yeah, I could do some new music, I think.
Yeah, I'll send you the My Dark Twisted Fantasy album. I'll Dropbox it to you. Cause
Yeah. Yeah, man.
any
I end up listening to too much metal. Way too much.
But yeah, I think the cultural impact of what he's doing right now is going to be huge.
And the Crips might shoot him.
Yeah, that's the funniest part of the interview. You know,
How's that funny?
the Crips said they were gonna come get me, and then I said they just want to fight me, and I'm like, oh, they love me. They just want to beat some sense into me. You can survive an ass whooping, like that was
Is it like
gold.
do they do Crips just like in one state? Or are they like the FBI? They like have jurisdiction.
They pretty much are the FBI, but that's a whole other story.
Right.
It's
Is it just one state?
It's weird. I don't know any Crips. I know some Bloods, but it's
what the fuck?
It's so decentralized that I don't know. To some extent I think it's a joke. I'm sure in like New York City, places like LA, I know it's real bad out in California and the West Coast and all of that. But I don't know. I think it's too unorganized. Some of it I just think it's like a front group.
Do you know what I would do? What I would do, right, is I'd get like a minibus kind of car, right, and I'd just drive up to them and I'd wear a bandana and stuff, and like have like loads of liquor bottles and like some weed. I'd go, jump in, guys, party, get them in, right, and then instead of going to a party, I'd drive them to the cop station, the car park, and just go, alright, I've got all these, they've all got warrants, and just run out the car. That's what I would do. Jamie, you still there?
Yeah, sorry. The phone was ringing, so I'm texting people and telling them to stop calling.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Huh?
Anything that's a good idea? My idea. Anything that's a good idea?
To what? Jump out of a car in the middle of gang territory?
No, so if you know these Bloods, right, what I would do, so I'd dress like them, I'd hire like a minifan, get some weed and some like liquor bottles and stuff like that, pull up to them in the fan, go, oh lads, jump in, party, go to a party. When they jump in, drive them to the cop shop, get in the car park, shout at cops, go, look, I got 5 guys that got warrants, and then just run. Easy.
I mean, I don't think, as far as Kanye goes, I don't think you're gonna have any. It's almost like the whole Bloods and Crips things. It's almost like a cover. I think, like as far as Biggie and Tupac, when they got taken out, they were trying to say that it was Bloods and Crips and everything like that.
I think Trump's told him to do it, and it's all a publicity stunt. So Trump can organise some kind of talk within the White House between whoever's leading this Black Lives Matter thing versus Candice and Kanye.
Well, I know he
Kanye and Candice to the White House, and then he's going to let the opposition come in and say, "Well, let's have a public debate on TV."
I know
how it goes down.
He is trying to get a black pastor and Kanye and a handful of other predominant black people together for more.
Tell them to calm the community down.
More outreach and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's what they need. Yeah, good. Just like calm it down, guys.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, some of the things is that
would be good.
Like that.
That would be Trump did that. That'd be fucking genius.
Well, and the crazy thing is, like, you saw that one guy on TMZ being like, "These are threats to our lives," and all I can think is, I'm like, where's this level of paranoia come from? Like,
I don't get that. What's he mean a threat to lives?
That's what I don't know. No, Trump. What the fuck is Trump doing that's a threat to your life? Letting you keep more of your tax money? What the fuck? He's not sending the feds out to round up people and shoot them. What are you talking about? And that's one of the things where, like, people need to have something break them through that, where it's like this level of fear that people have is so irrational that it's like you just don't even know how to respond.
Yeah, I'm still a bit. Well, did you see how it went down for Alex Jones and Ben Shapiro over the whole shit?
Yeah.
I reckon Alex Jones might finish Ben Shapiro off. I don't think he's fucking joking.
Yeah, I'll tell you. You know, it's funny. Ben Shapiro.
You don't want to get Alex Jones angry, man.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you,
He's pissed.
Cernovich has kind of been poking at Shapiro for a while, where he used to call him Little Ben. And you know, Ben is one of those people, like, I thought Milo, I give him a lot of credit because I know they don't get along, and Milo actually just came out and he said, listen, you gotta realize Shapiro was a child prodigy. And one of those things is when you're a child prodigy and you're sort of just doing all this stuff, you're not getting a normal childhood. So your social skills aren't there. And you can kind of tell that Ben is kind of socially quirky and stuff. And, like, I don't know. I do think, like, I don't think Shapiro's in a position to be trying to pick a fight. Like, when Alex Jones came out and said they're lining up Ben Shapiro to be the next Glenn Beck, like a Judas goat or something, I was like, oh my God, he is spot on. Like, he is.
Yeah,
where
that's what at first I thought Alex took me. I thought, oh no, it might be.
No, because you know, that's the thing.
Ben Shapiro's a clever guy. He can get out of this.
But also think, Ben Shapiro spent all of 2016 saying we can't elect Trump, we can't get Trump in office. And it pisses me off now that I think about that. He spent the whole time fighting against this wave, and now he's riding on top of it right along with everyone else. So, I mean, I really do hope Alex Jones... I love Shapiro, and I think he does great work, but he needs to be taken down a couple notches.
That's what worries me, is because he's a clever guy. If he's taken on this fight, he could have stopped it really easily just by putting a tweet out going, okay, sorry, guys. Well, he wouldn't even have to grovel or anything, just like a simple, okay, I'm sorry.
The thing is...
And I think it would have just stopped.
The thing that I think it shows is that, you know, Trump's whole election... As much as he's a billionaire and everything like that, it was a rejection of elitism. Like, you know, Kanye made a really great point when he was talking about Obama, where he says Obama was classy, and in a lot of ways he was too classy, and that alienated the lower and middle classes. Now, Ben Shapiro is all about Republican elitism. And that's why he says, don't go on Alex Jones, don't talk to these people, because he's an elitist. And again, that probably comes from being a child prodigy and the way he was brought up, living in LA and everything like that. But it's like, you're not going to have mainstream success like Alex Jones's level if you're continually bad-mouthing people who are your allies. Like, I remember even Joe Rogan, but way before this, tried going to me. He's like, have you ever met Alex Jones? I should introduce you guys. I think you'd get along, this, and that. But I don't think they would, because Alex Jones is a real guy, and Ben Shapiro has these sort of snot-nosed tendencies.
Well, Alex Jones was saying that there's a camp of them, and Jordan Peterson was one of them. And I started thinking about that. I'm not going completely with that, but one thing that I did think about is Jordan Peterson really does push antidepressants.
Yeah. Yep.
And how come, I'm not saying whether he's wrong or right on that, because he even made me start thinking about taking them. Like, I needed to, because Jordan Peterson said to take them. I thought, let's not. But so,
you know, it's funny.
Start doing it, and it's like, the thing is, how come Jordan in this camp that it's in gets a pass if anyone else in the world said, like, imagine what Alex Jones said, take antidepressants, or David Icke came out and said, I took antidepressants and they were good, you should try them. They would not get a pass on it.
You know, I had thought about that too, and even with myself sometimes I had thought about it, like you said with Jordan Peterson talking about, where I was like, do I have a serotonin problem? Like, maybe they could help me in like a low dose. And then I was like, no, I think I'm good. Like, I think they do more harm than good in most cases. But you're right. He does kind of get a pass for pushing the pharmaceutical stuff. Now, granted, I think some of the pharmaceutical stuff, like Lionel made this great point where he said, whenever there's a mass shooting, you have these people who just say, mass murder pills, it's the pharmaceuticals. And the reality is, if it was that simple, there would be a mass shooting on every corner of America. Like, so you can't just chalk it up to that and say that that's the make or break thing, because so many people are on them that you would have way more mass shootings. Is it a factor? Maybe, but it's not the factor. Now, I go back and forth.
Unless your equation's wrong, and it could be wrong, and maybe it's when you come off them, And then when you look at the numbers of people coming off, that number could be greatly lower.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
But I mean, I think part of it's Jordan Peterson, just his education and his training and sort of the bubble he's been in himself, where that's his go-to for certain things. Like,
Well, if me and you, right, I've just brought this up, and I nearly thought, oh, let's try antidepressants because Jordan knows best. You did things. It's like, well, Dad said to do it. He's like a dad. And then if we both did that, how many people do you think have actually done it?
Good. That's a very valid point. Very valid. I'm trying to remember what the next thing I was going to say is. Damn it.
Jordan Peterson is selling pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah.
And I got Shapiro
hold on.
next door to me.
I remember what I was going to say is I watched this documentary about water fasting, and it was basically talking about a guy who's in a psych center, and he had a patient who didn't want to eat. And finally the doctor was like, you know what? He doesn't want to eat. Let's not have him eat. Just have him go with it. We'll monitor him closely. Just have him drink water and everything like that. So the guy was basically doing water fasting for like a month. Well, all of his health problems cleared up. So then it opened up all this research into water fasting. And what they found was when your body goes into starvation mode, it triggers certain mechanisms that sort of like defense systems and maintenance systems in the body that will fight off illnesses and diseases and everything that wouldn't get triggered otherwise if you were intaking food. And they said right in it, they said, you could explain this to a normal person and they would say, that makes sense. It's completely understandable. Your body has these certain mechanisms. Sometimes you need to deprive it of things to trigger them. And when they're triggered, it will handle things that it wouldn't be able to handle otherwise. Someone who's been medically trained, though, that the body needs 3 meals a day, 4 servings of something, 3 of another, and everything like that. People with medical training will be harder to convince of this knowledge than the average person, the layman, because they've been rewarded for regurgitating this nonsense over and over for 8 years of medical school or whatever. So I think some of it's just Jordan Peterson going with what he's been taught and how he's been trained. And I mean, he probably has patience.
Why don't you just tidy your damn room? Trying to get people to tidy their rooms, folks.
He's probably had patients that he's put on antidepressants and seen it work and everything like that. And so I don't know. I'm not one of these people who think that everything is all bad, but I think it's overprescribed, and I think it's, there's things can be all right in moderation, but when you have this sort of pharmaceutical industrial complex pushing pills for everything for profits, that's where all the trouble stems from. Like, it's way overboard. I mean, there's probably extreme cases where these things probably do help people because their brain chemistry is just fucked up, but I don't think it's, someone just had their mother pass, let's pop them on pills because they're sad about it. Like,
You know what's been on... Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I know my mom, for example, has been on antidepressants, like, her whole life, and she's always said that it's because the women in my family have a chemical off balance that ties into, like, their periods and stuff like that, where the hormones and everything else, so she's just on, like, a very low dose antidepressant, and she says it makes her a lot better, because otherwise when she would be having her period she would feel like suicidal and homicidal and everything like that. And I'm like, all right, well, if you were feeling suicidal and homicidal and this is preventing that, that's a good thing. My concern is people who are just having a bad day, they put them on these pills, and next thing you know, then they feel suicidal or homicidal.
They tried to put my dad on it because he hurt his toe.
Yeah, that's no good.
And he thought about it as well. Luckily he thought, fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, like I said, I think probably 75% of the people on them shouldn't be, and there's probably other homeopathic and natural ways to help them, even if there are chemical imbalances. I mean, even some people, I had a friend of mine talk about someone, and they were like, I think this person has clinical depression, and whenever people posit that to me, my response is always, well, what do they have to be happy for? You know, and I think that's where I align with Jordan Peterson, where it's like you have to have responsibilities, you have to have purpose. Like, I think Jordan Peterson and the antidepressants, I almost feel like that would be like his last resort, where it's like, get your life in order, get things aligned, give yourself a purpose, and after all of that, if you're still having this lingering sadness that doesn't seem to come from anywhere, but it's just in your head, then maybe it is. But I always think of, what's his name, who would be on InfoWars. Oh, he's got the big beard now, and he's like the older guy. No More Fake News is his website. But he would always say, in psychology, there aren't diagnostic tests for these things. Like, you can't get a test and be like, oh, you have this level of depression, the way you can test someone's blood sugar or cholesterol or things like that. Like, there's no testing for these things. So it's like, I have a very hard time thinking we should give people drugs to alter their body chemistry if we don't know what their body chemistry is actually even at.
Well, I suffer from depression really badly. I've had mental breakdowns, and all of them, if you want to deal with it, they're all because of bad decisions I made.
Yeah.
It's not because of chemicals, it's because of dumb shit I did. And the realization, the reason you're depressed is because it's realization that you want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't want to deal with it, then it wouldn't be depressing, would it?
Yeah, no. You'd just be like, whatever.
Whatever.
And I mean, you know, and that's the thing and that's why, like I was saying with the Kanye interview, you know, he wasn't calling his breakdown a breakdown, he was calling it a breakthrough, because he was like, I came through the other side of this stronger.
That's what the Bible's like. It's like a rebirth. You have to die to be reborn.
Yeah.
You do it over and over. And if you can do it over and over, you'll probably make it.
And now think of it like this, though. If they put you on pills, like benzos, I think those are very dangerous. Like Klonopin, Xanax, Ativan. So it's like, if you're having these stressful scenarios, you make mistakes, and you're on drugs that reduce your level of anxiety to the point where you can make mistakes and not care about it, well, then how can you grow? How can you go through that rebirth? How can you, you know, it's almost like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And the drugs kind of bypass that, where I think you just end up stuck being weak.
Do you know what's been on my mind recently?
What? North Korea?
Oh, yeah, that was actually. What do you think about that?
Trump, Nobel Peace Prize.
Fuck that. No kidding.
Give that man the Peace Prize.
You don't think it's just a bit fucking weird?
I don't know. You know, according to QAnon, Trump had been meeting and negotiating that for a while. And here's the other thing. I was listening to, I think Pachinik was saying how we have this cartoonish idea about the leader of North Korea, but he went to Swiss boarding schools. Like, he's not been in some North Korean isolated bubble.
I think he might have gone to a British school as well.
Yeah. He's very Western. Like, people portray him as like, oh, he just likes basketball because, you know, whatever. No, he likes basketball because he was basically raised Western. Speaking,
I don't know, the whole thing just stinks, man. It just seems a bit fucking over the top for me. I'm not buying this North Korea deal. Like, first of all, Kim Jong-un must be nuts. He must be crazy, because the only card he had was being a crazy guy. Because now, I mean, I know you're American, it sounds like, you know, I'm being bad to America. Same with the UK, like, why would you do any peace deal based on what you've seen from America negotiations and UK negotiations? To give you some examples, the Gaddafi one didn't go great. The Assad one hasn't gone. Do you know what I mean? It's like a very risky situation for...
Well, you know what the thing is, and I was thinking about this with the last podcast we did where we were kind of bickering about the Syria thing. I heard someone make this point where he said the thing people have to realize is, you know, Western people, we're used to kind of negotiating things civilly and everything like that. Some of these Eastern countries, though, don't respect that. They respect showing of force, where it's almost like in order to get their attention, you gotta bomb the shit out of something. You have to show them, I'll fuck shit up, and I'll fuck shit up way crazier than you could even imagine, so don't step to me.
Well, don't worry, it's all fixed now. They planted the tree. So it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't. Well,
Sounds
the
a bit
thing is
crazy to me.
I don't think the leader of North Korea is as wacky as everyone makes him out to seem. Like, I think he is on some levels, but I think a lot of
I think
it.
it's pretty brutal. That could be true that he is brutal, and a lot of people in North Korea are going to be pissed with him. And same with South Korea, and that this is just going to all end, and no one's going to want to retaliate for what he did. They're just going to let it all blow over. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see though. But I mean, I think things are going well as far as Trump goes and what he's accomplishing
I'm
and
not
trying
happy
to
with Trump
accomplish.
still.
I don't know. I think he's doing fine.
He's done some good stuff, but I'm still worried. Like, where the fuck's the wall, man? In this Mexico caravan, like, what the fuck? Clean that. That's not been cleaned up.
I
at
mean,
all.
the thing that I think is really telling though is the
Hang on, where's the wall, man?
I
Where is it?
I don't know. They had the prototypes.
Is it even on its way?
There was a headline about it just the other day actually. So I mean, he's pushing for it, but again, here's the thing people have to
What
realize.
do you mean there's a headline? Like,
Here's Paul. Here's the thing I've
where's the
told
wall?
people.
Where's the fucking wall?
If Trump could just come out and say we're
What do you
building,
mean there's a headline?
but hold on,
I need a fucking wall, Jamie.
you want a dictator then? That's all it is to it.
Wall.
No, you want well, then you want a
Do it.
dictator. But this is the point I've tried to make is that if for people to expect this instantaneous, I say there's going to be a wall. There's a wall. Here it is tomorrow. Then you have a dictator. Our country, our government isn't structured for things to happen like that. It's the checks and balances. Now, what if how quickly you wanted him to build a wall, the next guy wanted to build a concentration camp?
Jamie,
You know what-
even I can build a wall.
But you're missing what I'm saying. There's a
Yeah,
reason
I'm not-
why it's a slow process. How it took Obama
It's not happening. It's not even happening.
it took Obama 6 years to get Obamacare through. If he could
When
have
it comes
just
to the UK,
did it,
that's my question. That's when I go to London and he does the press conference. That's going to be my question. Go, where's the fucking wall?
and the thing is he's tried to get it in spending bills and it's checks and balances. It's why we don't have dictators because things you can't just say, here's a wall, I'm building a wall, there's the money for it. Congress controls the purse. It's based on Congress. Ask Congress where the wall is. They're the ones that control the spending. It's not on him.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. That's my next thing I'm a bit upset at Trump about. What sort of spending bill was that? It wasn't quite what he said, was it? I mean, it looks as successful as what Obama was up to.
But it's
Versus
again,
always that.
it's because he's having to work with all of these other aspects of the government.
Sure, but Obama didn't get a pass when he said raising the debt doesn't raising the debt ceiling doesn't raise the debt. Pokey dokey pokey. Hot dogs.
Because the Democrats keep putting Trump in this
Why are you
position
putting ketchup on your hot dogs?
where it's basically you have to do what they say or it's going to be nothing at all, or they're going to stonewall and try to shut the government down and everything like that. That's why the wall, I'm pretty sure, was supposed to be
Where's
in that
the fucking
spending
wall?
bill, but he had to take it out in order to get the spending bill even passed. That's what keeps
So
happening.
I don't even know why I'm pissed about it. I'm in England. So are you saying I'm not allowed to be pissed about the wall?
I'm saying the responsibility for the wall doesn't fall solely on Trump.
No, but
That's
it's an
all
easy
I'm
job.
saying. Yeah, and it would be an easy job if they could get the money for it and everything like that.
Oh, I could get the money for it and organise it.
But it's like
Easy. I get the money easy.
And that-
GoFundMe.
and that's
Heard of
why-
GoFundMe. Heard of that?
that's why the midterm elections though are important, because if we can keep Democrats out and get more Republicans in, then you could get a wall a lot easier. Then you wouldn't have it where he's trying to do something and being fought the whole way along.
Right, the other problem, yeah, but don't you think that at least the caravan situation needs to be dealt with, though?
What?
Right, no.
I thought he was sending the National Guard down.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that was the plan all along. Was to send down
Where's
the
the
National
space
Guard.
program? When's he going to get us to Mars? Where's the space program?
You got to get out from the firmament in order to get to space. I don't think
Where's
we've been
the
there in the
alien
first
disclosure?
place.
Where's the alien disclosure?
Well,
I'll ask you that.
I'll tell you what, it's hard to disclose something that doesn't exist. Ever think of it like that? I mean, here's the other thing. Now think of it like this.
Here's one for
if you were to go with my...
How are you going to let this one slip? Las Vegas and Trump. What the fuck? What the fuck? Seriously, what the fuck, man? Las Vegas, Trump. Are you going to let... There's no way Obama would have got away with that.
But...
Come on, Las Vegas. What happened? You tell me what happened in Las Vegas. So I got no fucking idea.
Well, the thing is this is one of the points I was going to make that really bothers me that I see.
No idea who it is.
No, but here's the thing, though.
He's got no idea.
I don't think that. I think they know. They know full well.
No idea. It's just running about.
No, they all know. But I think the problem is you have a civil war within the agencies. And there's all of these factors where it's like, okay...
That just sounds like a conspiracy. That's the kind of thing David Icke would say.
But, I mean, well...
You're saying they're reptilians, Jamie.
No, I'm saying with Vegas, it's like... Or even Parkland. You know, like, I think Parkland was a complete false flag. I'll go farther than Alex Jones. I think it was a wet works team. Black ops were sent in to shoot up that school. It wasn't the kid that they told everyone it was. And I think the deep state planned it outside of Trump to turn it against him. Again, I think you have people within these agencies working against him to sabotage his presidency.
Can we not find some common ground and say Trump could have handled Vegas a little bit better?
But that's not in his job description.
Fuck off.
Like, handle it how?
Well, the same way you handled 9/11 in some ways, and actually have an investigation, actually talk about it, and at least get some...
But hold on, this brings me right to the point I was going to make. When he fired Comey, you had all of these people take this stance like, how dare he? Because somehow they think his employees are above him. And I don't know where this mentality came from. I even watched a stand-up comic make a joke about it the other night, and I pointed it out to my friend. I said, Trump is the CEO, the chief operating officer of the federal government. He is Comey's boss. So why do people think the employee is the one that's supposed to be overwatching the boss? Now, that being said, Trump could say, yeah, go launch an investigation and everything like that. But if all of the people in that organization are corrupt and working against you, how good of an investigation do you think they're going to do?
Well, just say that then.
I mean, why
can't you just say that?
Because you don't want to erode complete trust in the organizations. Like, it's better to be vague about it and say we need to drain the swamp and everything like that than to say you can't trust the FBI, you can't trust the CIA, all you can trust is Trump. But that's only one man. You have to be able to maintain the integrity of the institutions while still dismantling them and getting out all the bad aspects. It's a very, you gotta try to think of it in terms of optics and the narrative. Like, you don't want to say the FBI is completely corrupt, you can't trust any level of the government.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying it's not been good. And I do agree with what you're saying, that's the thing, I don't want to... But yeah, I wasn't happy with Las Vegas.
I'm not either, and the thing is I do think when we get to indictments against everyone, I think it's all going to start coming out. Like, who played what role in what.
Yeah.
Because things do tie together. And as far as the gun running and everything like that, like, I'll tell you what, it'll be real interesting if when indictments come down for Obama and Eric Holder and things concerning Fast and Furious, if Vegas doesn't tie into that. If any of these guns weren't part of that whole gun-running operation into Mexico and everything. Because like we said, we thought it was an arms deal from day one. And in fact, I'm pretty sure recently, well, not recently, but past 2 months or so, they put out video of the guy bringing the guns in through the service elevator.
They've released a video 2 days ago of them breaking into the room.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
You've seen that, and the windows aren't broken.
so stuff
They
is
knock on the door politely. Yeah, none of it adds up. The 2 gunshots don't add up anymore.
yeah,
He
stuff
shot himself in the chest, then shot himself in the head.
yeah, stuff is coming out about it slowly. I mean, it is shady, but I think it's just one of those things where it's like you got to let the process do its thing, and it's aggravating. Like, the amount of people that are just like, why is Hillary still walking around free? This should be open and shut. Yeah, but, imagine she has been running Washington for how many decades now? Do you really think you could find a jury that she wouldn't control in Washington? Like, I mean, and that's part of why people don't realize since the first of this year, we're actually under kind of martial law, extrajudicial military powers so that Trump can even be launching some of these investigations and stuff like that. But it's a matter of who can you trust. Like, that's the most dangerous part about this. People want to talk about him firing people left and right, but it's like, because you don't know who you can trust at this point. Everything has been so corrupt for so long.
The other reason I'm not keen on Trump, I'm not saying like I'm completely against him, just getting wary, is before you get your knickers in a twist, because you're going to go mental when I say this one, I'm going to throw a disclaimer out there and just say what he did work out for him. I'm not saying the plan didn't work out, but it was a dirty, dirty trick. And what the dirty trick was obviously what we argued about, was the Syria thing. Okay, I was wrong, it probably did work out for him, and you were right. Like, it probably was military a good move, but the way he played it was a dirty trick.
Well, I think it's what I was saying, where, the Eastern countries, they don't respect diplomacy as much as they respect showing of force.
The force was to North Korea. It wasn't to Syria.
Yeah, it was him waving his dick at Russia and North Korea, I think.
Yeah. No, I think Russia were in on it.
You think so?
I think that's what I heard. I heard Putin was he spoke to the Russians first and said, "Hey, I want," and basically it was basically a drill to just check out how good those SA-30s are.
Uh-huh.
And what it showed is Trump got embarrassed pretty hard, because that's like 1970s missile defense. It's not the greatest, but it did a great job.
Yeah.
Against the might of Trump's America's military missiles. It kind of that way it was kind of embarrassing for Trump. And the chemical attack now opens up that if ISIS do these chemical attacks again, it's going to encourage them to do it, or stage them at least. It's a very dangerous game. And then that reminds me, did you see that Benjamin Netanyahu fucking Access data point presentation?
No, but I know he's been in the news.
Fuck. I watched it, man. Fuck. It's like, we got CDs.
Nah.
We got CDs, bro. And he had that wall of CDs. It's like, what the fuck? It's probably Pink Floyd. What do you mean you got CDs, man?
That's funny.
Why is it on CD? Like, I think it is because that guy's still in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's like my dad. And then he had all these folders, and Iran lied, and Trump's going along with that. And that's what I said to you. I said that Israel is striking Syria, and in return, Israel wants America to hit Iran.
Yeah.
I can see it getting fucking stupid quickly, man.
I don't know. I haven't paid enough attention to what's going on overseas.
Don't get me wrong. If Hillary had got in, we'd be in this shit a lot quicker. But it seems like we're going down the same road, aren't we? We got serious shit heating up with Iran and Syria again.
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't kept up on the Middle East stuff and everything like that. But anyway, I gotta get running, so we can wrap this up for the week. And we'll talk during the week about, as far as, like we were saying about the Drudge Report thing, and brainstorm a handful of ideas for the concept videos I was talking about.
Yeah, and also I didn't get to do my rant, so I might do it, but it's just basically over. Like, we're fucked. I think we're gone. Especially I really wanted to get into 5G. and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just like, is it actually over now?
Yeah,
For mankind, we know if we just turn that, we've turned that point. I think we turned the point now.
Well, you know, it's funny in the comedy thing I was watching last night. A funny point this guy made was he was like, you know, when we're on computers, you're spending most of your time convincing a robot that you're not a robot. Like, as far as like you enter in a password and then it's like, oh, we want to check you're not a robot. Click these images and this and that, and it's like, I think,
yeah, as if a robot couldn't do that.
yeah, I think on a lot of levels, like you said, technologically, we're in a real bad state. It's not empowering people. It's enslaving them.
It's like they're pressing the button for the transhumanization. Like it's coming within the next 2 years.
Yeah.
The real process of it, but like that's why I feel like giving up in some ways to news. Like I think we could be like actually past the tipping point now, like way past it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, a friend of mine sent me an article the other day where I guess Bill Gates thinks in the next couple months you're going to see a super virus that's going to kill the entire world population. But I'm sure he's got a vaccine for it, and he knows all the people that he wants to keep around with it. So we'll see.
But once they got these vaccines with this kind of, all you need is nanotechnology.
Yeah.
Once they turn the 5G on, they're going to be able to have full domination of the body.
Yeah.
And then you're going to need to upload it. Especially you need a virus. They can start bringing this transhuman. It's going to ease. Because you think that's why they probably got those underground bunkers. It's not a war. It's not a takeover like we thought. No, they've got those underground cities. Could be 5G that they just underground while the radiation hits.
Yeah.
And all this shit that they've pumped into us, like the mercury and stuff and the nanoparticles.
It's just going to activate it. Yeah.
Yeah, or being able to boil your water. Like they're going to be able to boil you alive.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I always said about...
And you're comfortable... Why isn't Trump stopping that?
One of the things...
Superman, Batman. Where's Batman on that?
Well,
Jesus Christ,
one of the things you have to realize is the CIA isn't a part of the government. The CIA is practically independent contracted. I mean, they're a private organization, and that's part of the problem is the CIA...
No, but Trump's really backing the 5G.
Well, I think
he loves it.
I think he's probably just looking at it in terms of it being the next cutting edge technology and innovation leads to jobs, and you know, I think it's just him not having all of the info on it and not looking at it from a medical sense.
The Nazi doctor, it's Himmler, whatever his name was.
I don't know. I try to go with, you know, my assumption is he's ignorant more than he's evil in a lot of these regards. You know, because again, Kushner's invested in that, so he's probably just like, oh, it's my son-in-law's investments. What could go wrong? You know, I don't think it's a evil, nefarious plan on his end. I think it's just him not knowing. But anyway, all right.
I'll leave you on that nice, pleasant thought.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'll talk to you during the week, and like I said, we'll plan things out and then do next week and stuff. Hopefully, YouTube lets me upload it. And everything. So,
right.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, cool, man.
All right.
All right, cheers, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Later.
Bye.